Okay, well, it's the long weekend, though, in the words of the Dowager Countess, what's a weekend? Anyway, as you can hear, most people out here are gay lawning, but for me, of course, a sunny day like this is a day for solar. Isn't nearly every day a day for solar? So what have we got in action here? Well, the decommissioned starter batteries, I'm just topping them off with the charger, getting them nice, fresh before their new roll. The decommissioned 130 amp hour deep cycle. Very impressed with it actually. I measured it just this morning after it being disconnected for about 3 days, just sitting out here, and it's still holding about 12.49 volts, which is awesome because when I got it, it was only holding 12.3 overnight. So obviously the effect of either this desulfator, which has been on it for quite a long time, or the cycling that it's had has done the job to improve it quite a bit. See, I think this desulfator is doing something, but like I say, I can't be certain because it's also had a fair amount of cycling, which can also benefit a battery. But my project today, or this morning, I should really do some music this afternoon. We've got the High Spring recording coming up, the day of Beltane. So Beltane will be recording on the day of Beltane, but that's not what this video is about. Yeah, another broken solar panel. Well, you've seen the packaging of this, you've seen it just unpackaged. Now it's outside and I'm going to do the jobby on it. So the first thing, of course, is testing. Now, in many panels we can't trust the result of testing an open circuit voltage and a short circuit current because the bypass diodes could influence that reading. So the best thing to do is hook up a sensible load. And today I can show that in operation really well because it's nice and sunny. So here we go. I've connected two 50 watt halogen lights in series because of course the open circuit voltage of these is high enough to pop a single one because these are only rated at 12. And as you can see, they're pumping out a bit of light. Connecting a bulb rather than just measuring the amps and then the volts with a meter is better because it's proof of wattage, because a short circuit current at high amps and 0 volts is 0 watts, and an open circuit voltage of high volts and 0 amps is 0 watts. Don't prove nothing. But connecting a load such as this, or you could connect a battery, which I suspect the original owner did before he sold this to test if it was still working, because we've got these funny connectors here fashioned out of the wires on the end. Looks like they've been looped over some battery posts. Now, speaking of connectors, of course I whipped off the cover of the junction box to see what the bypass diode arrangement is, and yikes, 3 diodes. However, disappointingly, this panel's not split into 2 segments and bypassed in the middle. I can see by the tabbing wires here, you might not be able to see this, but I can see it with the sun shining through, that these 2 points here are the only connection to the junction box. There is no center tap. So basically it means these diodes are just in series across the whole panel. And also, the way these wires are connected on here is rather scary. So I'm glad I whipped this off because it means that I have abandoned any plans of changing the wires. I will just connect to these wires. So that's basically the status there. So I've proved that this panel is in good nick. Fortunately with this one, no need to dive into behind the plastic and start jacking past bad cells. The worst damage is here. That's the, you know, the sort of the epicenter. And so the worst thing would be is this cell here has just got a little bit less because of the shading effect or you know, attenuation effect of that less than stellar glass now. So it's a nice day, there's no wind, there's a lot of sun. The weatherman was completely wrong about this weekend so far. So we'll carry on with wiping this off with some terps just to get it nice and clean, and spraying it with some clear coat. And what I intend to do with it after that is, okay, can we see up here? We'll see at the back there's the 3 little ones, and then there's 2 bigger ones. They're 50 watt panels. There's a monocrystalline at the bottom and a poly at the top. Well, I'm going to remove those 2. I've got uses for them, which I'll show in a different video. And I would, all things being equal, just put this panel once it's fixed in their place. However, I don't really like the aesthetics of standing out here and looking at a shattered panel all the time, because these panels on that angle up there, of course, are very visible. But fortunately, this panel here, 3 in from the bottom, not the ones at the top, but the ones that are flat, which you can't see very well, but 3 in from the right there on the bottom layer, is exactly the same model or panel, I believe. Well, it's at least the same size and the same wattage, but I'm pretty sure it's the same model as this broken one I've got. So what I'm going to do is take the good one off there, put it up the top, and then put the broken one there flat. You know, there's a couple of advantages in doing that besides aesthetics. So, I mean, for one thing, in the sort of the, you know, the late spring we are now, well, we're actually not late spring, we're nearly high spring, we're nearly at the day of Beltane. So, you know, at this time of year around here we get an excellent solar output, and of course that'll continue through the summer. So I want the best panel, which is obviously the unbroken one, in the winter position, which is up the back. So that's a good reason. There is one slight downside with that. It would in a way be better to have this on a steeper angle to make sure the water runs off quicker, because after all we're just relying on clear coat to keep it waterproof, but I don't think that's a major issue. I mean, these 2 broken ones over here I've already done have performed perfectly since I've done it, so, and they have had a lot more damage. I haven't even got around to filling in that sort of depression in this one with a bit of silicone. I haven't bothered, but still working fine, so the clear coat's obviously enough. Okay, that's a long enough video for this. Very much long enough. Oh, okay. I've decided, I got in a fit of pulling out grass yesterday, and I've cleaned out this area. You can see our lovely old toilet there. I'm going to make that into a water feature. My collection of glass jars that become glowies and sorts of things like that, I should really tidy them up and put them somewhere more sensible. And this is not my very first attempt at solar power. It's like my first attempt at solar power, but this is something that I threw together while we were living in Foxton Beach to provide a light for the toilet, because there was no light in the toilet there at that house. So these powered a couple of what turned out to be a couple of lithium cells that ran. Initially it was an LED bulb, but that quickly sort of failed, so we ended up just running a little incandescent bulb, a little 6-volt incandescent bulb, and that lit our toilet. Yeah. So there we go. That's today, and there's Puss, Jerry. Oh Puss, hello Puss. Yeah, not our cat, but the neighbour's cat.